Hi everybody, good to see you again. I know I promised the next video I would post would be the test flight of the Luna Battle Pack with the Star Luna and the regular Luna. But we've had, I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. We've had a ton of snow. Just like snow and then rain and then snow and then rain. No good conditions to get out and do it. In fact, you can see there, snowing pretty good now. So I promise I'll get that done as soon as I can. We'll check it out. I'll give you my thoughts on it. Until then, I thought I'd do an in the bag. Hi again. Gonna do my in the bag. As I go through my discs, I think the first thing you'll notice is that I throw exclusively Discraft discs. Didn't start off that way. When I first started throwing discs, I had quite a variety, threw a lot of Innova, through several other varieties, MVP, Prodigy discs, but I've kind of reevaluated my bag at one point, and it was like 75% Discraft anyway. They were just the discs that I found worked the best for me in my little noodle arm, right? I'm 53, I don't really work out that much, got a bit of a belly going, right? So I have to make decisions, that'll work best for me. So I ended up going with an all Discraft bag. I just really liked them. Plus all my heroes, throw for Discraft. Paul Macbeth, Paige Pierce, as you can see, I'm a big fan. So thought I'd go through my bag, let you know what I throw, why I throw, and when I throw it. So first, I think I'll start off with putters. So I bag 5 putters. I have 3 titanium Lunas that I throw and 2 zones. I started off throwing Fierce. I have a whole rack full of Fierce still to this day, but after I developed a little more, got to be a little better of a putter, a little better of an approach person, I started wanting something a little more stable. Now, if you really spin the Lunas, they can be a little understable, but not like the Fierce. The Fierce I found to be a bit uncontrollable. I have a bad habit of kind of turning my wrist over. When I do that, boy, those Fierce would just fly to the right. Lunas help me control that a little more stable. So, and I really like the titanium. I throw exclusively the titanium putters. They're durable, so I hit a lot of trees, right? And they hold up really well, and it doesn't affect the flight nearly as much just because the plastic is so stout, as I would say. And blue goes farther. So my approach discs, as I mentioned, are zones. I usually pack 2 zones. These are the flexible zones, Crystal Sparkle Flex. This one, and this one's a little less stable than this flex zone. So I have one that I can rely on to turn it. I can turn it over a little bit and it'll stay a little longer before it comes back. And then this one just reliably comes back. So 2 zones. So those are my putt and approach discs. And then kind of along those same thoughts, I have 2 Buzz, one a little more stable than the other. This is Buzzsaw Buzz. Picked this up at the Idlewild Open. And then this one, a good buddy of mine, Craig Vickery, if you're watching, thank you. I rely on this Buzz a lot because they're just very straight. Throw them too much, with my habit of turning things over, throw them too hard, it will turn for you, for sure, but really like the Buzz for that. And you'll notice as I go through my bag, I have a rationale behind it. By which I mean, since I lack some skill, I like to have a lot of variety, so some choices to try and make things a little better. I have a 13 speed, but I probably don't have the arm speed for that, but I know how to throw it to get to do what I need it to do. So you'll see as I go through my bag, I have like a 13 speed that's stable, but then I have a 12 speed overstable, a 12 speed understable, an 11 speed overstable, an 11 speed understable, and down the line. So that was kind of my thinking behind building my bag to start with. So as I said, I have one that's a little more stable, one that's a little less stable. Next up in my bag, I have an Buzz OS for that really overstable that I'm looking for. Even so, it's still, you can turn it over and it'll hold the line for a bit, even though it's a Buzz OS. So I kind of have three varieties of Buzz for that. Obviously, we're getting into mid-ranges. I have the Swarm. Really like this. This is kind of like, in my opinion, for me, it is the zone of mid-ranges, right? You throw it and you can rely on it to come back. It's stable. Really like the Swarm for that. It also does really well in the wind. Now what I need to do, I'm starting to get into fairways now. So I have a Passion, and I love this Passion for straight approaches for my fairways. I have a longer approach, something I don't think I can get there with the Buzz. I feel like the Passion, it'll still dump at the end, but not hard. It's a fairly straight disc, really like it. Then I have the Cicada, and this is a fairly new disc to my bag. This is a misprint Cicada, I don't know if you can tell. Got a good deal on it, but it does have the sparkle fleck, which I love. Again, Cicada is reliably stable. I really like, I can put a lot of spin on it and it'll go fairly straight before it dumps. Conversely, I also have the Cigara. I know there's a lot of discussion about how similar the Cicada and the Cigara are, and they are in a lot of ways, but I really like having both in my bag because I feel like the Cigara really does dump sooner, a little faster. So depending on the distance that I'm trying to achieve, I like to have that flexibility. So as you can see, I kind of went from stable to overstable. So now I'm moving into my drivers. So I start with the 9-speed heat. I know a lot of people throw the heat. It's just reliably stable or understable. You put a lot of spin on that sucker and it'll hold that angle. It's great. I don't have a great forehand, so I rely on that backhand turnover quite a bit. And this disc is great for that. So that's my understable 9. And then my overstable 9 or stable 9 is Captain's Raptor. I threw a Raptor for a long time, just a regular Raptor, and I liked it fine. But the Captain's Raptor is a little more overstable, and I like having that overstability so I can get around those corners. Next are my 10 speeds. So for my 10 speed, I've got a really old Avenger SS. This guy had a previous owner from my buddy Dan Covalli. Thank you, Dan. He threw it for a long time, then it kind of got shelved for him. I ended up losing my Avenger SS out at Idlewild. So I got this from him. Love it. It's been great for me ever since. It's a great roller disc. Not that I'm a master at rollers, but I really enjoy throwing rollers. But it's also a nice understable 10 speed, not as understable as the Heat, but certainly understable enough to get me around some corners. Then I have the Onyx. The Onyx, it wasn't this Onyx. I may still have my other Onyx somewhere, but the Onyx is the first disc I ever threw an ace with. So I'm a big fan, always have an Onyx in my bag, and it's a nice stable 10 speed. Then as I move up to the 11 speeds, I have a Scorch. I find this to be a little understable, stable to understable. Numbers on it are 6, -2, 2, so it makes sense that it would go nice and straight. Again, arm speed's a factor, changes how they fly a lot of the times, and also I have that bad habit of turning my wrist over, like I mentioned. So I try to use that to my advantage sometimes, and in this case, it does. I can get a little more distance than the Onyx or the Avenger SS, and it'll turn over for me and hold that line for a while before it comes back. Another new addition to my bag is also another misprint, which is the Drive, Paige Pierce's Drive. Really like this disc a lot. I can get a little more distance out of it, obviously. I can also put it on Annie and know that it's gonna stable out and come back. I wouldn't necessarily call it overstable, but I would call it stable. Now its numbers are 11.5, -1, 2. However, I find it to be a little more stable than what those numbers say. So I find that to be a very reliable 11 speed. Now when I get up into my 12 speeds, I have a couple of options here. 12 speed's probably my favorite driver to drive. So I have a few more options of the 12 speed. I probably don't have the arm speed to actually get them to do what they're supposed to do, but I can get them to do what I know they can do. And that's what I'd recommend for you out there as you're building your bag. So for an understable Thrasher, this baby, it goes a nice long way and will hold that line for freaking ever. Love it. It's great for backhand turnovers. I've tried to throw this forehand. I do throw forehands, just not great at it. I've tried to throw the sucker forehand, and with my wrist turning over, it'll hold the line the wrong way and won't come back, which defeats the purpose of forehand, right? So it is that understable for me anyway. And although, that being said, I have hit a lot of trees with it, so I could explain it too. Then I have the Hades. Love this disc, probably my favorite 12 speed. It is stable. It has very similar numbers to the Thrasher, but I just find you turn this over, you can rely on it to come back. It doesn't come back like an overstable disc, but it certainly comes back nice and straight, or if you throw it good and straight, it'll hold the line for a good long time before it dumps. So it's kind of somewhere in the middle there. Really like that disc for that. Then also another new addition to my bag is the Captain's Thrasher. So Missy Gannon's Captain Thrasher, really love it. This one, again, more stable than the Hades even. So you can see where I'm going with this. I've got understable, stable, a little more stable. So this one will come back a little harder, or it'll ride a little farther and then dump, which I love for that. I used to throw a Zeus. This is very, very similar to the flight of a Zeus in my opinion. Maybe a little less stable, but still a very reliable disc. And then of course the force. You know, everybody loves to have a force in their bag. Those who throw Discraft, reliably overstable. I've heard Paul Macbeth talk about how understable his force is, which of course just shows the vast difference between a professional and me. This disc is overstable for me, for sure. Throw it as hard as I can, that sucker is gonna dump every single time. Really helps me get around corners to the left. And it's great in the wind too. You can chuck this sucker on Annie and it will still reliably come back. It's a great disc to have in your bag because you know what it's gonna do. And then finally, I have a crank. I've had this crank in my bag forever, which is surprising because the color of it, you'd think you'd lose it in the woods, and I have lost it. I spent more time looking for this disc than I have any other disc, probably all the rest of my discs that I've lost combined. But I always seem to find it. It's very reliable, being that it is 13 speed, it always comes back. I can turn the sucker over and it'll come back, but it doesn't dump hard like a force does. It just reliably comes back. So I use this disc a lot to try and get my max distance. They say that you should match the disc speed with your proper arm speed to get your maximum distance. And I do believe that to be true. I have outdriven in field work, outdriven this disc with a heat. because I just threw it better. I have better arm speed. But there's also certain times when I really want this max distance disc to act the way I want it to act. So that's why I have the crank in my bag. So hopefully that helps you when you're thinking about building your bag. I certainly would encourage everyone to not necessarily stick to one brand. This is just what I have found that works for me. Get out there, try it out, see what works for you. Please feel free to comment below. Let me know what you think. Please be kind. I am an amateur, and I do love the sport of disc golf, which is why I do this. And I'm hoping you average Joes out there can relate to the things that I say and that I do. And let's just keep throwing. Thanks, guys.